Okay guys, so this is part 2 of the lecture, and suppose you not watch the part 1, through which you understood how to through which you learned some theory behind HSRP configuration. Kindly, I will leave a link on the description part of the video. Click on the link and watch the theory behind HSRP protocol. Okay, so guys, basically we are going to understand how to configure HSRP protocol, and we said in the previous class that HSRP protocol is a layer 3 redundancy protocol that allow source network to access the destination via multiple paths, okay, such that when one path fails, another path will pick up. Okay, alright, so guys, I have already drew a topology here, and as you can see, we have HQ LAN and server-side LAN, okay, and we have 3 routers at the center. This is a network for the HQ LAN, and this is a network for server-side LAN, okay. And how to configure HSRP, guys, very simple. I will give the step how to configure HSRP. I will highlight the steps of how to configure HSRP. For example, in these topologies, guys, for these host devices to communicate in any IP network, they must have IP address. And also, these routers here should at least advertise the routes. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is to configure IP address. Step 1 is to configure IP address. Then step 2 is to configure a routing protocol. And in this case, guys, let's use RIP version 2. Okay? And another one, the third step, guys, is now to configure HSRP, which is HSRP. Okay? Alright. So basically, I'll start with IP address configuration. I'll do it very fast because these are what you know. This side here will access this network. And guys, we said that there's a concept of virtual IP address. So I will reserve virtual, let me say, virtual IP address to be 192.168.1.2. okay, so I will not assign any host or interface this IP address because it's reserved for virtual IP address. The concept of virtual IP address, if you don't know any theory behind HSRP, guys, watch the part 1 of this video. Okay, you will understand where the virtual IP address comes in. Okay, alright, so I'll start configuring these interfaces with IP address. Alright, okay guys, so I have managed to configure IP address to the router's interface such that this interface here will access 1.1, this interface will access 1.3 because 1.2 was taken by virtual IP address, and this interface here will take 1.4, I think. Okay, and this one will take 5.1, this one will take 5.3 or 5.2, whichever, and this one will take 5.5. 5 or 4. Okay, alright, so I'll configure IP address to these host devices. And guys, we said that this virtual IP address is the default gateway of the host devices. Okay, so I'll come here, say 192.168.1.2, sorry, .10, let's give it .10, and default gateway should be the virtual IP address .1.2. okay, so I'll copy the virtual IP address, click on this one, and paste .20, let's give it .20, and paste that one. Okay, so we are done, guys. We are done with the first step of configuring IP address. We are not going to configure this side because we are only concerned with this side. We want this side to access this side via multiple paths. Okay, so let's configure RIP version 2. How do we configure RIP version 2? Very simple, guys. So I'll open Notepad and go very fast. So how to configure RIP version 2? We start by router RIP, then version 2, then you advertise the network. Which network? We have only two network, 192.168.1.0 and 192, sorry, and another network is copy paste 5.0, only that. Okay, and we try to say no auto summary. Okay, so we'll copy all these to the routers. Router RIP, we make the router know that it's using a RIP protocol or the routing protocol, then the version of the router, the version of the RIP, I mean, and you advertise the networks. Okay, so I'll copy and go very fast, exit, and you paste, do right. Okay, we are just advertising routes in case there will be scalability in the network. Okay, do right, in case there is a scalability in the network, we advertise the routes, we paste, do right. Okay, so guys, we have configured IP address and RIP version 2. So what's remaining is to configure HSRP. Guys, how do we configure HSRP? Very, very simple, guys. We configure HSRP on the routers. Okay, for this, in this router, we will configure HSRP on this interface. Okay, in this router, this interface, this router here, this interface, such that the source here can access this side through multiple paths, such that when this router fails, this one will pick up. Okay, so for example, let's make this on our active router. That's the main router. Okay, and this one is standby router, standby R1, and this one is standby R2. Okay, alright, so for example, all the traffic from this LAN will go to this LAN via the active router, and in case the active router fails, this router will pick up. And you know the criteria of selection we explained in the previous class. Kindly click on the link below to watch the previous class. Suppose you've not watched it, it's very important for this one. Okay, alright, let's start configuring HSRP. How do we configure HSRP? We've said we configure on this interface. So basically what you do, you enter that interface first. I will comment interface is gig 0/0. Okay, after entering that interface, guys, now you specify the standby IP address. Okay, and we said the standby IP address of the routers is the virtual IP address, and it's the same virtual IP address that will act as the default gateway for the source network. Okay, so you say standby, then you give it number, let's say 10, right? Then IP address, very simple, IP address 192.168.1.2. The standby should be the virtual IP address. Okay, now give it the priority for this one. Okay, because we want it to be the active router or the main router, we have to give it the highest priority. Okay, all right, so you say standby 10, that's the same number. Then which priority? Let's give it priority to be let's say 120. Okay, so that this one will be 110 and this can be 100. Okay, all right, okay, so that's all about it, guys. The first thing that you do, you configure IP address of these interfaces, then you configure the routing protocol, and finally you configure HSRP. To configure HSRP, guys, you enter that interface, then you specify standard number and IP address, and that IP address should be the virtual IP address that we specified here. Okay, then you give the priority. Alright guys, so let's go to this router and configure HSRP. Exit, and you enter interface gig 0/0, then standby, you say standby number 10, IP, you don't say IP address, IP, let's see, good, IP 192.168.1.2. okay, and you hit enter, good. Then standby again, standby 10, the number should be the same. Priority now, priority to be 120. Okay, exit, do right. Very simple, guys. We have configured HSRP successfully on this router. So what you just modify here, you remove the IP address, this address to be just IP. Okay, then we click on the second router and say exit, interface gig 0/0, standby 10, it should be the same. Okay, IP should be the IP address of the virtual IP address. Okay, 168.1.2. okay, then standby 10, priority to be 110 because the active one was 120. Okay, exit, do right. Okay, and finally we configure HSP on the third router. Exit, interface gig 0/0, standby 10, IP should be 192.168.1.2. the standby IP address should be the virtual IP address. Okay, then standby 10, then priority to be 100. Okay, exit, do right. So guys, basically we've said that this active router has a priority of 120, okay, this has a priority of 110, and finally this has a priority of 100. Okay, meaning this is our active router because it has high priority, and in case this router is down, this one will become the active router because it has the highest priority than this one. This one should be 100. Okay, alright, so guys, basically it's the time to test and verify our configuration. So what we'll do is to verify our configuration first before we test. I'll go to this router and do show standby brief. Okay, so I'll copy just this command here, copy. As you can see guys, we have this interface, a group of 10, a priority of 120, state is the active route, okay, active local, and a standby of this one, and the virtual IP address guys, as you can see, very important guys. I'll go to this route again, do show, I'll paste and hit enter. As you can see, a group 10, priority of 110, state is standby. As you can see guys, very simple, active .11, then standby local, virtual IP address, very important guys. Then finally to this one, wow, as you can see, this interface group of 10, priority of 110, wow, I need to change that. The priority should not be 110, it should be 100, because you know this one is 110, so this one should be 100. I'll change it again, so I'll say interface, that one, then the priority should be 100, not 110. Okay, exit, do right. Okay, so I'll try to paste again. Okay, as you can see now the priority is set to 100, and that's what we need. Alright guys, so let's begin testing. I'll try to ping from this computer to this network. Okay, so ping. Remember, I'm pinging from a computer to a network, not a certain IP address, but a network address 168.5.0. okay, I didn't configure the servers. Okay, so I'll try to ping this network here. Okay, alright, and I hit enter. It's pinging successfully. Then very importantly, trace route. Trace route basically will tell you the path through which the traffic will follow from the source to the destination. So we want to know the path that this packet from PC0 will follow to this network here. Trace route 192.168.5.0. trace route, good. As you can see, 1.1. Which interface had 1.1 IP address? It was this one, gig 00 on the router 1. As you can see, gig 00 has an IP address of 1.1. okay, 192.168.1.1. okay, so let's test HSRP. Suppose this router is down. Let's assume this interface is down. Okay, gig 00, I'll try to turn it off. You go to config, then you come to gig 00 and you turn it off, meaning the traffic cannot go this way. Okay, because this interface is down, the active router is down, so someone must become the active router. Who is that? The second router with the highest priority. Let's ping again, ping this network. Yeah, just give it time, it will ping. Just give it time. As you can see, it has pinged. So let's trace route. You trace route the network. As you can see, 1.3. Which interface was 1.3? The first time we trace route, it was 1.1. This was the node. Okay, and the node represented this router, the interface of this router. But now that the interface of that router is down, meaning the traffic cannot go that way, the traffic must go on the second redundant link, redundant node. Okay, which is this one. I believe this one is 1.3. As you can see, 1.3. okay, as you can see, it's here. It's 1.3 here, down. Okay, so let's assume also this one is down, gig.0 is down. Okay, let's assume this one is also down. So the traffic will first go this way. Oh, this one is down. Then it will go this way. Oh, this one is down, and it will try to go this way. And let's check the IP address of the gig 00 is 1.4. So the first thing that I'll do is to ping. Just give it time. It will ping. Just give it time. Okay. So let's do trace route. Trace route, this one. Do you see 1.4? The IP address of which interface? This one. This one. Okay? So basically we have implemented redundancy in this topology such that when this router fails, this one will pick up. And when this fails, this one will pick up. Okay? Let's assume now this router miraculously is up. This interface here. Okay? Let's just give it time. Let's this one to turn green. This one will assume its role as the active router because it has highest priority. So let's ping again. Ping. Just give it time. Okay, it's successful. Now trace route. As you can see, 1.1. 1.1 was the IP address of this interface, meaning the router here has assumed its duty as the active router because it has the highest priority. Guys, pretty much simple. How to configure HSRP.